What's up everyone and welcome to this video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the world's largest cave in Vietnam. This is an incredible cave. I've never even heard of this until I saw an article on archaeologyworld.com. Apparently it's so big that it has its own ecosystem. Think about that. This cave is so big, it has its own ecosystem, yet it wasn't discovered until about 30 years ago. And I guess this guy that discovered it, I think his name was Ho Khanh in Vietnam. Yeah, Ho Khanh in Vietnam. Yeah, there you go. So this guy Ho Khanh, he had to get out of the rain, so he just kind of runs away from this thunderstorm that was approaching, and I guess he just stumbled across this cave. That is awesome. Can you imagine being that guy? You're trying to get out of a storm. You go to some random cave that you've never seen before, and you're just blown away by how big this is. And the unfortunate thing is that when he got back and he was trying to tell people where it was, he could not remember how to get there. So it was another 30 years before, I think it was 30, no, it might have been 20 years before it was discovered again. And according to Archaeology World, they state that he discovered it again around like 18 years later or something like that. But then the website that actually hosts the, I guess the site for the park or wherever this cave is located in Vietnam, they say that some British explorers rediscovered it in the early 2000s. But they do give credit to Ho Khanh for discovering it originally. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at this massive cave and see what it has in store. So the largest cave ever found on Earth, so big it has its own ecosystem. That's crazy. I wonder if there's like all kinds of animals. I know there's some insects and stuff in there, but this right here is the opening of the cave to the outside. And I guess like this portion collapsed years ago. So it has this. I'm just surprised that no one ever saw this. Like, even flying over with a helicopter or something, you'd think someone would have seen, you know, this massive hole in the ground with like this jungle. But who knows? The Son Doong Cave in Vietnam is the largest cave passage in the world. This huge and intricate cave system was created by water that percolated down from a rainforest above, ultimately carving into the rock. Yeah, that's crazy. I think they could make some really cool movies in this place if they could get some kind of permission from the Vietnamese government. And just as long as they don't, you know, ruin anything or destroy it, you can do all kinds of cool stuff at this place. Deep inside the cave sits a flourishing jungle, which grows 200 meters below ground level in an area where the cave roof has collapsed. Home to an impressive ecosystem with a dangerous system of pathways, this rainforest is quite the destination. I think what they mean by dangerous pathways is just that it's really difficult to get down. In one of the pictures, I guess someone descends over 200 feet just to get to the cave floor. So you can imagine it being quite the expedition, if you will. To date, only explorers and very few tourists have laid eyes on it. Would you dare to be one of them? Yes, I would. If I had the skill in spelunking and I was able to go to Vietnam, I would love to check out this cave. And it sounds like an awesome adventure. An accidental discovery. So this is going to go into this guy finding this on accident. For a cave that's located inside of an UNESCO-listed park, Vietnam's Phong Nha Ke Bang, it's quite shocking that it was first discovered only 3 decades ago on accident by a local farmer. In 1990, while seeking shelter from a storm in the jungle, Ho Khanh stumbled upon this 3 million-year-old natural wonder and reported it to the British Caving Research Association. Unfortunately, however, Khanh lost track of the cave's exact location, and it took almost 2 more decades for Son Doong Cave to be rediscovered. That would really suck. So you like have this like discovery of the century. I would think this is like a monumental discovery. Finding this massive cave, you know, no one's ever been there. Who knows, you know, what's been going on in this place, and you can't remember where it's at. It's almost like some kind of bad comedy movie or something. Unbelievably, in 2008, Ho Khanh stumbled upon the elusive cave once again. Luckily, he remembered the location this time around, and experts finally began exploring, eventually determining Son Doong to be the largest cave in the world. So in this, it says that he discovered it again, and I'll show you the actual park website where they say that British explorers rediscovered it. So I don't know if he told them that where it was, and they paid for the funding to go back out there so they get credit. I have no idea. Inside of a rainforest, inside of a cave. Appropriate to its record-breaking size, Son Doong also houses an impressive ecosystem. And I'm not sure what this is, like calcium salts, I guess, polished by moving water. Pretty cool. Look at these stalagmites. They're like 70 meters in height. So like what, 210 feet or something like that? Not only does it have its own localized weather system, but this massive cave is home to the largest stalagmite ever found, nicknamed Hand of Dog, in a cave floor littered with rare limestone pearls. But all of that isn't even close to everything Son Doong has to offer. This fascinating cave system has its very own rainforest, the Garden of Edam. That's like incredible. It has its own local weather system, and it actually has its own rainforest inside. I'm surprised there's not like a wide variety of animals in there. Maybe it's small enough to where like only certain insects and whatnot can live. With time, collapsed ceilings have created holes called dolines, allowing lush foliage to grow and creating a remote and dangerously inaccessible jungle. Son Doong's rainforest is home to flying foxes and endangered tigers, as well as rare langurs and trees as tall as buildings. Alright, my bad. I don't remember reading that before. I might have got distracted looking at the actual website. Wow, so flying foxes. This must be like little like flying squirrel type things. So I don't think they're like some kind of brand new species of flying fox. Though that would be pretty cool. A flying fox. It's crazy, actually, now that I think about it. Son Doong's rainforest is home to flying foxes and endangered tigers, as well as rare langurs and trees as tall as buildings. On bright days, sunbeams stream through the dolines, illuminating carpets of moss below on a section of the cave nicknamed Watch Out for Dinosaurs. Probably sounds a lot cooler in Vietnamese. I mean, that does sound pretty cool, but like, watch out for dinosaurs, it just doesn't have quite the ring to it in English, I guess. Maybe it'd be like Dinosaurs Watch or something. Since 2012, one tour company called Xalis has been taking a strict number of tourists per year into Son Doong, a treacherous 5-day trek that only a lucky few will ever experience. So yeah, so it takes about 5 days, I guess, to get there, according to that. So let's go and take a look at some of the pictures from the actual park's website. I think this is the park's website. SonDoongCave.org. Yeah, I would assume it is. You see these wide variety of pictures here. But look at this. This is crazy. This tiny jungle nicknamed the Garden of Edam. This jungle is inside of this cave. I mean, granted, it does have like a hole in the ceiling, but still, there's a jungle in a cave. This is like some Congo stuff. Is that book by Michael Crichton, Congo? Awesome book. I loved Michael Crichton. He's a great author. I think one of my favorite books by him was Timeline. The movie was terrible. I almost imagined that it never existed, but the book is great. If you love historical fiction, it's awesome. And the way he does time travel actually kind of makes sense. It's almost like they're going to an alternate parallel universe or something. It's pretty cool. Wow. Yeah, see, 225 feet. It's kind of weird looking. What? Must be some kind of effect with the camera. I guess probably to hold the stakes for climbing or whatever. I forget what the term is. This kind of reminds me of the forest. It looked like Pearl's a mountain. Yeah, this has epic movie written all over it. Even from the way the guy found the place, stumbled across it and he couldn't find it. He must have been so relieved when if he actually went back there and found it again himself. Because That's just terrible. Like, you're telling everybody you found like the world's largest cave and no one believes you. It's like a Michigan J. Frog kind of thing. Wow, this is just crazy. Look at the scale. Look how small that person looks. I wonder if this was a drone shot. There's friggin' trees inside of the cave. That's awesome. I think there's they have some information regarding the map, yeah. So I guess this I'm not sure if this guy was a cave expert or what, but he went through and mapped out the cave. So they had like a whole diagram of everything. Son Doong Cave, how to get there. Son Doong Cave is the world's largest cave located in Son Troc, Bo Troc District, Quang Binh Province, Vietnam. It is situated below another cave in Phong Nha Khe Bang, though its entry passage is very difficult to traverse. The exploration team said they had set foot on just 6.5 kilometers along the cave, as there is a large amount of fast-flowing water inside Son Doong. It takes explorers 6 hours of walking through a 10-kilometer long forest path from Truong Son Highway to reach the mouth of the Son Doong Cave. Yeah, take a look at some detail here, cave exploring tips. And I read, I think it was on this side where they were saying that this was from, like, it was discovered originally by that guy, but then the British discovered it 18 years later or something. Just trying to see if I can find that. Might be on home. Yeah, this is actually kind of cool. This I think he's Scottish. This dude goes in there and looks around. He's like, "Oh my God! Look at all the plants, they're just amazing." It's just like, he like draws out like every single like detail. I think that's why the BBC put him on there. Let me take a look at it. I'm just trying to find that. I could swear I read it on here. Alright, past the hand of dog, watch out for dinosaurs, says a voice in the dark. I recognize Jonathan Sims' clipped British military accent, but have no idea what he's talking about. My headlamp finds him, gray, mutton chops curling out from beneath his battered helmet, sitting alone in the blackness along the wall of the cave. "Carry on, mate," growls Sims, just resting a buggered ankle. The two of us have roped across the thundering subterranean Rail Thong River and climbed up through 20-foot blades of limestone to a bank of sand. I continue alone, following the beam of my headlamp along year-old footprints. In the spring of 2009, Sims was a member of the first expedition to enter Hang Son Doong, or Mountain River Cave, in a remote part of central Vietnam. Hidden in rugged Phong Nha Khe Bang National Park near the border with Laos, the cave is part of a network of 150 or so caves, many still not surveyed, in the Annamite Mountains. During the first expedition, the team explored 2.5 miles of Hang Son Doong before a 200-foot wall of muddy calcite stopped them. They named it the Great Wall of Vietnam. Above it, they could make out an open space and traces of light, but they had no idea what lay on the other side. A year later, they have returned 7 hardcore British cavers, a few scientists, and a crew of porters to climb the wall if they can, measure the passage, and push on, if possible, all the way to the end of the cave. The trail disappears before me into a difficult pile of breakdown building-sized blocks of stone that have fallen from the ceiling and crashed onto the cave floor. I crane my head back, but the immensity of the cave douses my headlamp's tiny light, as if I were staring up into a starless night sky. I've been told I'm inside a space large enough to park a 747, but I have no way to know. The darkness is like a sleeping bag pulled over my head. This guy's a pretty good writer. Like the way he's describing everything kind of, makes you feel like you're there. Mark Jenkins. I switch off my headlamp just to feel the depth of the darkness. At first there was nothing, but then as my pupils adjust, I'm surprised to make out a faint and ghostly light ahead. I pick my way through the rubble, almost running from excitement, rocks scattering beneath my feet and echoing in the visible chamber. Traversing up a steep slope, I turn a ridge as if on a mountainside and am stopped in my tracks. An enormous shaft of sunlight plunges into the cave like a waterfall. The hole in the ceiling through which the light cascades is unbelievably large, at least 300 feet across. The light, penetrating deep into the cave, reveals for the first time the mind-blowing proportions of Son Doong. The passage is perhaps 300 feet wide, the ceiling nearly 800 feet tall, room enough for an entire New York City block of 40-story buildings. There are actually wispy clouds up near the ceiling. I wonder if this is him. Very well could be. The light beaming from above reveals a tower of calcite on the cave floor that is more than 200 feet tall, smothered by ferns, palms, and other jungle plants. Stalactites hang around the edges of the massive skylight like petrified icicles. Vines dangle hundreds of feet from the surface. Swifts are diving and cutting in the brilliant column of sunshine. The tableau could have been created by an artist imagining how the world looked millions of years ago. Jonathan Sims catches up with me. Between us and the sunlit passage ahead stands a stalagmite that in profile resembles the paw of a dog. Let's see how long this is. Wow, this is quite a bit. Yeah, I didn't realize this was here, but I'm trying to decide if I want to read this whole thing. Yeah, why not? I'm going to go ahead and read this. If this has been too long for you, feel free to go ahead and stop now, but I'm going to read through this, commentary about the cave, and then I'll just kind of close off this video from there. But anyway, thanks for checking me out. You can find me on BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey. And until next time, take care if you're leaving now, but right now I'm going to finish this. The hand of God would be just too corny, he says, pointing at the formation. But the hand of God does nicely, don't you think? Or the hand of dog. He clicks off his headlamp and unweighs his gimpy ankle. When we first got to the Clapstow line, that skylight up there, I was with another caver and we both had 4-year-old sons, so we were experts on dinosaurs, and the whole scene reminded us of something right out of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's novel The Lost World, he says. When my partner went exploring forward into the sunlight, I told him to watch out for dinosaurs, and the name stuck. 2 decades ago, the leader of this expedition, Howard Limbert, and his wife Deb became the first cavers to visit Vietnam since the 1970s. Back then, the country's caves were legendary but unexplored. In 1941, Ho Chi Minh had planned his revolution against the Japanese and French in Pac Bo Cave north of Hanoi, and during the Vietnam War, thousands of Vietnamese hid from American bombing raids inside caves. The Limberts, experienced cavers from the Yorkshire Dales of northern England, made contact with the University of Silence in Hanoi, and after obtaining sheaves of permits, mounted an expedition in 1990. They have made 13 trips since, not only discovering one of the longest river caves in the world, 12-mile Hang Kay Rai, not far from Son Doong, but also helping the Vietnamese create 330 square mile Phong Nha Kay Bang National Park, which now attracts 250,000 Vietnamese and foreign visitors a year. Tourists who dramatically increase the income of local villagers come to see the park's namesake show cave, Hang Phong Nha, which workers light up like a psychedelic rock concert. Because of the dense jungle, the Limberts might never have found the caves without help from area residents. Mr. Khan has been with us from the beginning, Howard says, nodding toward a thin man smoking a cigarette beside the campfire. We're squatting around the fire just inside the entrance to Hangin, the mile-long portal that tunnels beneath a ring of mountains into the lost world. Couldn't have done it without him, Howard says. Ho Khan's family lived in a nearby village. His father was killed in the war, forcing Khan at a young age to fend for himself in the jungle. For years, he hunted all over this border country, taking refuge in caves when it rained or rained bombs. It took 3 expeditions to find Son Doong, Howard says. Khan had found the entrance as a boy, but had forgotten where it was. He only found it again last year. See, this seems a little bit contradictory because it said before that he found it in like 91. Well, yeah, I guess he could have been a boy. He could have been born in like 81 or something, I suppose. And it does say right there that he found it again. Stands of bamboo and other vegetation cover mounds of limestone here, making the place all but impenetrable. Below the surface, this part of Vietnam is one immense limestone block, says Daryl Granger, a geomorphologist from Purdue University. The whole region was squeezed upward when the Indian subcontinent smashed into the Eurasian continent 40 to 50 million years ago, he says. Son Doong was formed 2 to 5 million years ago when river water flowing across the limestone burrowed down along a fault, scouring out a giant tunnel beneath the mountains. In places where the limestone was weak, the ceiling collapsed into sinkholes, creating the gigantic skylights. Annette Betcher, a German caver and biologist, has found woodlice, fish, and millipedes inside the cave that are all white, which is common for creatures that live in the dark. And Dai Ing Vu, a botanist from the Vietnam Academy of Science and Technology, has identified the plants growing beneath the skylights, finding basically the same mix that grows in the forest above. But such science on the run is not the real focus of this expedition, whose central purpose is exploration. For cavers like the Limberts, discovering a cave as big as Son Doong is like finding a previously unknown Mount Everest underground. We've just scratched the surface here, Howard says of the national park, which was named a World Heritage Site in 2003 for its forests and caves. There is so much more to do. When Howard and Deb first saw these enormous spaces, they felt certain they had discovered the largest cave in the world, and they might be right. There are longer caves than Son Doong. The Mammoth Cave system in Kentucky, with 367 total miles, holds that record. There are deeper caves, too. Kubera Voranja, the Crow's Cave, plunges 7,188 feet in the western Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, but for giant passages, there are few caves that can compare. At the time of the Limberts' discovery of Son Doong, the largest passage was thought to be Deer Cave in the Malaysian Borneo's Gunung Mulu National Park, which was recently surveyed at 1.2 miles long, 500 feet wide, and 400 feet tall. But as the explorers would eventually determine using precise laser instruments, Son Doong is more than 2.5 miles long with a continuous passage as wide as 300 feet, and in places over 600 feet high. Wow, that's crazy. 300 feet wide and 600 feet high, and it has like its own ecosystem there. And through the use of state-of-the-art editing, we are back. Yeah, I took a short break because this was quite a bit longer than I expected. We weren't actually searching for the target for the largest cave in the world, Deb says, but she's thrilled that the cave's newfound fame might improve the lives of local villagers. After 5 days of hiking, hauling, and crawling, the expedition is still only halfway into the cave. Counting all the cavers, scientists, a film and photography crew, and porters, we are a team of more than 24, which seems to have slowed us down. Besides that, the going gets dangerous as we climb through the breakdown and watch out for dinosaurs. One misstep on slick boulders could mean a fall of more than 100 feet. When we reach the next skylight, the Garden of Adam, another cheesy pun, it's even bigger than the first, almost as wide as the roof of the Superdome in New Orleans. Below the opening is another mountain of breakdown with a jungle of 100-foot tall trees, lianas, and burning nettles. As our time and supplies begin to run out, Howard decides the moment has come to send an advance team ahead to the Great Wall of Vietnam to see if an assault is really possible. The wall lies more than a mile away at the end of a corridor shaped like a V with a foot-deep trench of water at the bottom. Mud walls, sticky as peanut butter, rise 40 feet high on either side. It is not possible to walk in the trench, only to stumble. By the time you reach the wall, you're so covered in mud you appear to have gone swimming in chocolate pudding. The cavers named this passage Chandale, after the trench warfare battle of World War I, in which the Allies lost 310,000 soldiers to gain only 5 miles of ground near the Belgian village of Ypres. Wow, think about that. 310,000 guys lost their lives to claim 5 miles of ground in Belgium. And that was just one battle? 300,000 people? God. Climbing an overhanging 200-foot tall wall of mud is technical, risky business, so you need just the right type of madman. Luckily, Howard has handpicked Gareth, Sweeney Sewell, and Howard Clark for the advanced team. The two have been caving together for 20 years in the nastiest potholes in England. Clarkey is a bull semen salesman. And Sweeney is a legal specialist who somehow convinced his wife that they should sell their one and only car so he could keep heading off on caving expeditions. Alright, I'm sorry, but I have to comment about that guy's career. So what do you do for a living? Well, you see, I procure and trade in bull semen. This is probably going to be cut someday and taken out of context. But yeah, I think I've actually heard that that's actually very lucrative, because like if you get like a bull that's like like that bull from years ago, bodacious, and it like breeds or something with like other bulls, you can make a lot of money, like a certain stud bull. The first day at the base of the wall, as Clarkey belays, Sweeney begins boldly working his way upward, drilling hole after hole. Almost all of the holes are too hollow to hold a screw from which to hang their ropes. For 12 hours, they jabber in their expletive-laden Yorkshire vernacular, easy bloody crap covered with mud. Sweeney says at one point, neither says a word about the true dangers of the task. Were any of the 6-inch screws to pop out, the rope Sweeney is hanging on would lose its anchor and he'd likely zipper the rest of the screws and plummet to his death. Wow. On the second day of the climb, after bivouacking at the bottom of the wall for the night, Sweeney returns to his previous high point with Clarkey belaying again. Soon enough, the whirring of his drill echoes through the domed blackness. Sweeney's so high up we can see only the glimmer of his headlamp. At 2 in the afternoon, of course it doesn't matter a bit what time it is when it's dark 24/7 after 20 hours of drilling holes and climbing higher, Sweeney finally disappears over the wall, and some minutes later we hear Clarkey ascends the rope next, then yells down for me, the words bouncing through the cave, well, you coming up or what? At the top of the Great Wall of Vietnam, we can literally see light at the end of the tunnel and start howling our heads off. The rest of the expedition will later tell us that they actually heard our hollows more than a mile away in the cave. Measurements made at the top of the wall will reveal that from the bottom of Passchendaele to the ceiling is 654 feet. It's just the three of us now exploring. No human has ever been here before. We drop down off the backside of the Great Wall and begin ascending a staircase of rock toward the exit. Will you look at these, roars Clarkey, kneeling beside a dried-up pool. Sweeney and I gather around. Inside the pool, illuminated by our headlamps, are cave pearls. Cave pearls are formed when a drop of water from the ceiling hits the limestone floor and throws up a speck of rock. This grain is jostled in its little cup of stone every time a drop hits it. Over thousands of years, a solid, almost perfectly round calcite pearl is formed. Pearls are rare, and in most caves are no larger than a marble. The cave pearls here are the size of baseballs, larger than any the cavers have ever seen. Their preternatural size may be due to the enormous distance the ceiling water drops fall. I hereby christen this passage Pearl Arbor, Clarkey announces. I guess that's kind of a clever name. 20 more minutes and we're scrambling up and out of the cave. It is raining in the jungle. We hack our way far enough out into the forest to recognize a horizon and determine that this is not just another skylight, but that we have discovered the end of Hang Son Doong. Sweeney and Clarkey are far too humble to openly express that we've just completed the first push through what is very likely the largest cave passage in the world. Source, National Geographic. Wow. So if you stay with that and me reading this entire personal account of exploring that cave, props to you. Sorry that it took too long. I didn't realize that was going to take that long. And I just thought it was a pretty cool story to be told. And I can't believe that I've never heard of this cave. I mean, it just seems like something that you would hear about more often, the world's largest cave like this. But yeah, so if you like stuff like this, interesting, topics, history, philosophy, talk about video games and stuff, play some video games here and there, feel free to subscribe to my channel. You can find me on BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, and YouTube, of course. And thanks a lot for checking this video out. I really appreciate it. And to my subscribers, I'm really humbled that you just even have any interest in what I have to say. I think that's really cool. And thank you very much. And until next time, take care.